Hi, welcome to Abundant Possibilities. My name is Sarah. Um, so I just got out of a very nice, just healing shower, and afterwards I went into this meditation where I just had this amazing, transcending experience. And my heart was just bursting open with loving energy, and I was just sending out all that loving energy to everything around me, wording through everything, and the tears were just flowing out of my eyes freely, and I was saying the thank you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you, and just going through my chakras. But it was this entire thing. I recorded it, and I'm not sure how I want to do that because I'm not clothed in that, and I think that's against regulation, and I don't think I want everybody to see my naked body because it's none of your business. But I actually don't have any problem with my naked body. I love the body that I'm in. So it was just I felt this strong desire to record it because for a while I've been doing a form of channeling where it's not really me. It's a higher knowing. It's my higher self or something else that's guiding me, but I'm in tune with my body and listening to my body. And in there's self massage, and there's stretching, and there's fascia release, and it's all these things tied in. And at the end my body just feels so amazing, and it's practicing balance and chanting and just clearing out that airway, playing my instrument. It's this amazing experience, and I don't know how to explain it to anybody necessarily. So I recorded it because I was like, well, I just need to see this because I just go with the flow. Not kind of. I go with the flow, and even if something snaps me out of my wherever I am, it's kind of like this. It's hard to explain. But when something kind of snaps me back and pulls me back down to this, I'm grounded on this earth. I'm right here, right now. It's very easy to just go back into just listening, and it's been such an amazing experience. I know I don't know how to explain it, but there you go. It's just been a crazy, amazing experience that I just had, and I'm coming out of that energy. I'm still in that energy, but through that, because I've been reading Paul Selig's books, I'm going to turn this upside down. This is why I'm sharing, is because these guides were going through me, and I was channeling and calling out, and there was just such a beautiful, beautiful connection. Nope, it's upside down. One of the chants that I do is V, and you release everything out of your airways. And that's something that I got from these books. I think I'm not sure which book it was right now, but there's so much amazing if you do the practices, and if you're reading along to these right now. I would love to know your experiences. I'm growing, and I'm expanding, and I'm learning new things, and I'm opening myself up to all these possibilities, and I'm manifesting like crazy, and I'm just so excited for all that's to come. All that's to come. I'm so excited for possibilities. That's why I named my channel Abundant Possibilities, because there are so many. I don't even know where it leads me exactly, but I know that the ride has been quite interesting. I have my necklace, my favorite necklace that I wear, one of my favorite necklaces, and it says, "The journey is the reward." Isn't that the truth? I mean, the journey is the reward. The grief, the sadness, the laughter, the loving, all of the things, all of the things. What an amazing experience that is to have the ability to do that, to have the ability to release energy in that way through eyes into tears. I kissed my tears as they came out, just thanking them, because it was this abundance of love that was just pouring through me. My wish is for everybody to know that feeling sometime in their life. I hope you've had that feeling before. I want everybody to feel that feeling, which is one reason why I want to share these books. And I started reading the book of Love and Creation on Sunday, and I just read the prologue, but I decided after that meditation, because my energy is just, I'm in love. I am in my loving. And I want to read the book one, Awareness, and just see what the guides are sharing with us. I've read this book before, but every time I read them, I get more information. It's more this energy comes through, more knowledge, more remembering. So I'm reading these, and at the same time, the energy's going through me, which I love, and I love to be able to share these. And I got a beautiful message, a couple beautiful messages from people just saying thank you for reading these, and that they're excited and they're reading them too. And I know somebody else out there is wanting this information, is needing to hear this information, is coming across this information. And, you know, I can share. That's what I can do. So I'm doing it. I'm sharing. I'm sharing the word, because I love to share the things that have helped me on my journey. I want everybody to feel the love and abundance that I felt in my life. Oh, it's so beautiful. And there's been challenges. I'm human. I'm in this human body. I'm in this human form. There's been my stories that I've held on to. There's been pains that I've held on to. There's been all these things that have happened in my life, and I am full of possibility. I'm infinite. You are infinite. We are not the bodies that we dwell in. It's not the truth. We are not the makeup that we wear. We're not the clothes that we wear. We're not the cars that we drive. We're not the homes. We're not the titles. We are infinite beings. Oh, I love you guys so much. Thank you. Thank you for being on this journey with me. Having people share this journey is so amazing. It's so amazing. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, anybody that's reading along with me. Thank you. Anybody that leaves a kind message, I love you. Thank you. There was something in starting these books that I had to get through my fear of what people would think, because that's been one thing that's kind of kept me in this 3D way of being, is what people would think about me. And in that, you don't let your light shine the way it's supposed to shine. You are a light being. Your light is fantastic. Let your freak fly. Let your light shine. Let it shine. Oh, okay. Okay. So, I'm going to take a drink of my water. I'm going to thank you guys again for being here. I'm going to thank my guides. Thank you, Paul Selig, for channeling. Thank you. Such a beautiful life we're on. Such a beautiful journey. I hope wherever you are out there, you just feel the love come through. And know that you're not alone. Know that you are infinite. I know who you are. I know what you are. I know how you serve. You are free. You are free. You are free. You are free. Even if it doesn't feel like it right now, you are free. So we're going to start on book 1, Awareness. We're going to see what the guides have to say. And I thank you guys. Thank you for being on this journey. Thank you. One last thing. Because what happens when you start crying a lot is that you get a little snotty. That's just part of being human. I'm gonna spray some rose water on me and blow my little nose. Yeah. Oh man. Whatever you guys are doing out there, I hope the sun is shining wherever you are, the moon is shining wherever you are, and you could just look up at it and just give gratitude for that breath that you're in right now. Just the sun having its warmth coming down on your shoulders, the moon and its light imbuing you up, like your whole cells. Just give gratitude. Be in gratitude. It definitely feels amazing. And even if you have to go through it, I thank you until you really feel it, until you know that you are full of gratitude. Gratitude is what you are. Keep saying it. Keep saying the I'm sorry. Keep saying I love you. Keep saying please forgive me. Please forgive me. Keep saying thank you until you feel it. I've had that experience where I'm doing mirror work and I get into that and it just heals. Not just my storyline, it heals my ancestors' storyline. It goes through time and space. It's this infinite thing. It's one of the most powerful things you can say. If you don't believe me, look up a video on YouTube, look up the benefits of saying it. I can't pronounce it. It's Ho'oponopono, maybe, but it's thank you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you. It's powerful. Yeah, look at me. Yeah. So, awareness. This is called Awareness in Congruence with the Divine Self. Day 2. We're going to talk today about things that have to do with differentials and what differentials mean. Now, in your last session, Paul, we spoke to you about light and the requirements of light, and the jurisdiction of light, as it were. And today we want to talk about differentials between light and what stands outside of the light. Now, the responsibility for you in this session is to allow the words to come. The placating of the self that fears the information that is to follow will happen clearly and responsibly through our light. We want to give you information today that is new to you and will have to withstand the counsel that you bring to it that states that this cannot be so, and that the words that you speak cannot be in truth. Now, the reason you are having the resistance to teaching in this manner is threefold. The first area of fear has to do with your issues of truth, and the fact that you are requiring truth to be at the center of anything that comes through you is a great thing, and we support you in this. But the fear that you could be misled, or that you are misleading the self and thereby misleading others, is the thing that has to be contended with now. This is actually a creation, and it's a symbolic one, because it amplifies fear. And we want to talk about fear today, but we will get there soon. The second area of creation that you contend with in your resistance is the ideal of what should come through you. This should be wonderful. This should be coherent. This should have information that others will require. And we will say, yes, those are all accurate desires, but in a funny way, they have nothing to do with you. To the extent that you resign the self to being participatory to the channel as the vehicle for the information and not the designer of the book jacket, as it were, We will tell you what this book is as it is written. This is a different kind of book, and the reason you have not been given the information about what is required from it is because it would precede a level of resistance on your behalf to the information that wishes to come forth. Now, the alignment to the new information that we will bring through you is going to happen very rapidly. The dictation will be fast and spontaneous, and the regard for chapter headings and things like that will come into place as it is required. That is an afterthought to the content of the book. The content of the book that we wish to write with you is about amplification of creation. How light is worked with, how you work through yourself, and how you govern yourself from a place of creative source. Creative source, we will say, is another word for the Christ itself. You can operate from your Christ itself, or you can operate from your creative self, and you will be in your Christ itself. We are using this word creative not as a replacement for Christ, but to bypass fear of a readership that may have resistance to a configuration of consciousness that they have already labeled to be uninhabitable, for whatever reasons, to their lives and through their ability to access. So the interchangeable words, creative self and Christ itself, will come into play in this book. Now, the second thing we want to tell you about the book is about responsibility to it through the response you have as the dictation occurs. You cannot allow yourself to become involved with the information as the information moves through you. And we are going to do our best to keep you in abeyance as this process happens so that you can remain accurate to the intention and to the vocabulary that is handed to you. And this is important. The requirement of this book to be in translation from your vocabulary to a vocabulary that will be held in higher frequency is part of this process. We will explain this later. Now, the third issue you contend with as the dictation occurs and your resistance to it is your responsibility to yourself. What does it mean to be in this position as a human being who holds forth and brings through a consciousness of the divine self, an aspect of the Creator, into language and design that will support others in the manifestation of themselves as their Christed selves? Who are you to do this? Becomes your question. And the relegation of your fears, respond happily to the statement because you can always find reasons why you are not worthy of the mission you have been given. You have been chosen, in a funny way, to support this work partially because your resistance allows for a declaration of independence for the information to come through accurately and with a predisposition to come forth honestly. The design of the work is not yours, but your temperature rising whenever you have a response to the work in a way that does not feel truthful is a healthy thing. So in a way, you can allow yourself to have a bit of resistance because it calls to it honesty. But to the extent that you designed the book in your mind is the extent that we cannot work through you to bring through the book that is required. So in this case, we will say that, what am I? Who am I? Who am I to do this? Is not your responsibility either. You are simply the vehicle for the manifestation of this book. And this book, we will tell you now, is going to be a long one. It's a bigger book than the last book because it will be relegated into 3 parts. The first part, which we will begin today, has to do with awareness. An awareness of the self and the awareness of that which is around you and all things true. Now you can ask yourself what this means. What are all things and how am I to be in contact with them? And we are going to tell you something very funny right now. You are all things. All things come forth from you through your thoughts. Now, the radical idea that man creates his own reality is nothing more than language giving to something that has been at play since the beginning of creation. And we have spoken about this in the previous text, and we will describe it again. There can be nothing created in this land, in this existence, in this plane of consciousness, without it being thought first. Now, the simplicity of this idea is something you understand, but it is not something that you navigate with an awareness on a day-to-day basis. I didn't create the subway system. I didn't create the blemish. I didn't create the tree. Well, in fact, you did. You all did, on a collective level of thought. The world around you has been created in order to give you an experience of yourself in reality that will come forth and bring about the change of consciousness that you require. Paul is seeing a kindergarten classroom where the walls have been painted with colorful figures. And those are paintings, outpictured, meant to appeal to the level of maturity and consciousness of the people who tend to stay in that room all day, which are very small people who have certain requirements. The planet that you exist in many ways, operates at the same level. The designs that you have created around you are there to support an experience that you are intended to have as a human being operating in a body on a physical plane. Now, the transmission of change into physical is a process. It does not happen in the twinkling of an eye, but it does happen. And if you can understand that 100 years ago, much of what you take for granted today was not even at play here, you can understand how rapidly thought becomes reality. Now, if you choose as a culture to become aware of your creations, those things that you have invented, for good or for evil or for whatever intent was behind their creation, you will begin to get a sense, in truth, of how powerful you truly are. Now, the consciousness that you have been given by your Creator, that aspect of the self that is you, that operates in its creative self, is in congruence with its design and as an aspect of the Creator. You are each a piece of the Creator congruently operating with the great Creator to the extent that you become congruent with that frequency. And the design that you are, then, can outpicture in consciousness a changed reality. Your reality can transform to the extent that you bring forth a new ideal of awareness of yourselves as the creative force in the world. You do this intentionally, individually, as you claim, I am Word. I am Word through all I see before me. I am Word through my designs. I am Word through my choices. I am Word through all that I know. These are the things that you perceive yourself now, to begin to have some control over. And that is a truth. You do. And as you have been working in frequency with an awareness of this, you have begun to experience yourself as frequency. And as you engage in frequency as the self, you engage with everything else as frequency, and you understand the flexibility, the plasticity, the malleability of that which is in your domain as an individual creation in consciousness. As you do this individually, what you have created through consciousness resonates with the intention that you have placed before you. I am choosing to create from a divine self that already knows what is required for my highest good. Will bring you into alignment with those creations that are, indeed, made for you by your higher self, by the divine aspect of you, in accordance with your highest good. Now, if an individual is capable of creating change in her own reality, in her own awareness as what can happen in her life can change, she can say, yes, I am the creative force in my life, and what I bring forth is required for my growth in healing and in truth. Now, if you can do that individually, you can do that collectively as a group energy. And as a group energy begins to change in consciousness, the changes then can be magnified. There is no fear, ultimately, in transformation, when you understand that the requirement for transformation will be different from the individuals as they operate in group consciousness to bring forth collective change for good. The choice you make as a group energy to divine the future in a positive way can bring forth positive manifestation on this plane. Now, group collective thought is already in operation. Everything that you see around you has been created by a collective source that agrees on certain things. We can do this individually. We can do this collectively as a group, as a culture, as a country, as a place to inhabit that we call this planet. We can do it as one group, as factions, but it is all being done through collective intention. Now, when you walk down the block and you see a sign on the wall that tells you to purchase something, that is a directive that is being given to you by someone else who is operating to inform the collective consciousness through a description or an idealization of a thing. A thing meaning what is advertised on the wall. When you choose to describe what you want to see on that wall from a higher perspective, believe it or not, what you will find on that wall will be transformed by your requirements. Now, Paul is asking, is this individual? Is this as individual jurisdiction of a creation? And we will explain. If you have always wanted a pair of blue jeans or a certain bottle of wine, and this is what is placed on the billboard, you will go into agreement with it. And the culture, essentially, goes into agreement with what it has been given and handed on a level of belief and matrix. You all believe that the bills come every month. You all believe that nice guys finish last, or choose a belief that has been encoded into culture, and then you will begin to see how your creations have been made to support those choices that have been idealized for better or for worse by group consciousness. So the billboard we describe on the wall is simply an example of something that has been created in manifestation to meet the requirements of those things that you have agreed upon, either because that is what you wanted or because that is what was told to you and you decided, for lack of anything better to do, than to go into agreement with it. And there it is, outpictured for purchase on the wall. Now, if you want to design a billboard that will bring to you the change of consciousness that you desire to be in awareness with your world in a new way, we will say it will be done. And we will design it with you. We want you each now to take a moment to decide that what you bring forth in your life has been created by you, with no excuses. I can no longer blame my mother for the terrible things she told me. Or I can no longer blame my boss because of his temper. Or I can no longer blame my schooling or my lack of schooling or my body. I have created what I see before me. Now, to the extent that you accept this as a truth, you become empowered to change which you see before you. I am word through all that I see before me. Is your command to be in demonstration of your power in dominion. We say dominion because your fear of being in dominion, in your power, is what is keeping you small and unaware of how powerful you truly are and are allowing you, then to relegate the creations of your life to someone else's authority. I can't be that powerful. I don't have what I want. I don't even have what I need. Well, if you believe that, that is what you are creating from. And if you do this as a culture, to examine that for a moment, you would begin to see that what you have brought forth culturally, for better and for worse, are things that are about the abdication of individual authority in creation. You are all being told what to do on a basic day-to-day level. You all inhabit a world that you have created that gives you a set of instructions about what you are to do and how you are to behave and how you are to think and how you are to greet your neighbor. You have chosen this, and it has been a way of abdicating power and relegating authority to other sources. Paul is wondering, well, Am I listening to another source? Am I relegating my authority now to a disembodied frequency that is telling me one thing while my own intention is to hear something very, very different? We are never commanding our authority override free will. This is very important. You have been gifted with free will. You do not use it when it comes to issue of creation that you have been trained to believe that you have no authority over. You don't believe that things can be changed that are out of your jurisdiction as an individual self, and therefore you do not change. You accept, you are docile, and you move about willingly accepting your fate as a being that is experiencing only 1/5 of his inherent creative power. You do this in agreement with your brothers, with your sisters, and everybody shakes hands at how small you really are. Now, Paul has many questions about this, and we are going to attempt to answer some of them. You have been gifted with free will, and it is your choice to operate from it. So as source embodying in a physical body, you have to begin to realize that what you are capable of trumps any outside power that you could ever possibly contend with. Now, Paul is seeing the image of someone getting evicted from a house, and he is saying, oh no, the person who is evicting this tenant has all the authority. And in that way, that may be true. But on another level, that person only has the authority that he has been gifted with through cultural approval. And once that is changed, everything begins to sort itself out differently. Now, the demands of creation, what it means to be in responsibility of your creations, is a responsibility that you each have to choose now before you read further. I am now choosing to stand in my awareness as the creative source that brings about the change that is required in my life. I am doing this through this intention. I am word to begin to identify myself through my choices as the one empowered to create change. I am word through this intention. Word, I am word. Now, once this is decided, you have to go through a process of discernment. When you decide something in consciousness, you have to become very aware of the aspect of the self that you are choosing to create from. Is it in the jurisdiction of the Christ itself, or the creative self, or is it born out of fear? You can ask this question any day because, frankly, those are your two choices. Am I creating out of love, out of light, or am I creating out of a fear-based reaction to something in my world? Once you understand where you are creating from, you become aware of everything in your world that has been created out of fear. Now, we want to work first with a level of identification that the individual holds. Look around the room you live in. I'm staying here. I'm in the music room of a house that I'm working on a project. This is going to be the music room. And I moved over here yesterday because Cam's grandma's in town and she's staying in the room that I was staying in. So although this is not my permanent home, this is the room they've created while I'm in here for the next 2 weeks. So What have you purchased that you did not want, or bought because you thought you were supposed to have it, or because you feared that if you didn't have it, something might happen to you? Now we will explain what we mean. You are in the purview of your environment. And it is very easy for you to accept that everything in your space was chosen by you, if in fact you live alone. If you are in a partnership or if you are in a shared space, you can still accept your responsibility for your landscape on this small a level. So search the room. Where did I make choices and bring things into manifestation out of a place of fear? Now, this can be as simple as saying, I bought the rug that I wanted on sale because I was frightened I couldn't afford the one that I really wanted. Or, I had the keys hidden in that special place in case somebody robs my apartment. I will know how to get back and have the locks changed. Do you understand? They can be very small symbols, but if you begin to understand quickly on a level of consciousness that what you have created is your choice, you begin to make other choices. Now, if I realized that I only married a man because he said he loved me and I was terrified no one would love me again, regardless of the fact that he is not the one that I choose to love, you can see that much of your life was based on a decision born out of fear of lack. If you have a fear of lack, believe it or not, you are creating from lack. As you try to contour lack with fear, you end up creating from fear and not changing the consciousness that will bring about the prosperity that you require. We will devote a chapter to this later. But at the moment, we want you to see what you have created in your landscape was chosen by you. Now we will extend this now because the walls of your space into the neighborhood that you live in, you choose to be here on a certain level. You are existing here and your reality extends as you look around you. My store, my post office, my whatever you want to name that is in your jurisdiction. Now, Paul is already saying, please don't say that we create the post office box. Well, you did. You chose it. It is a part of your reality, and consequently, you have power over it. Once you understand that it is a creation of your own, you suddenly imagine that there may be other possibilities outside of the framework that you choose to exist in. Now, yesterday when we spoke about walls, we spoke about them as barriers. And we want to speak about a dimensional barrier right now, which holds your reality in place through a dimensional barrier of your cognizance of who you are in a body. As you experience yourself in physical form, you begin to have an experience in this dimension. And you operate from this place in a comfortable way because that is what you are trained to do. Now, if you can understand today that what is actually available to you through your consciousness can exceed the limitations of this dimension, you will begin to operate to a new ideal. And the ideal that we speak of has to do with the awareness of other worlds, other aspects of the self that are available to you through frequency at a higher vibration. Now, as you call these things to you, the boundary of the dimensional shift begins to change, and what you do is expand your consciousness to extend beyond your room, and your neighborhood, and your dimension, to extend to higher realms to access those aspects of the self that are about to be brought into form. Now, Paul is saying, what is going on here? And we are simply saying to him that this is a brief introduction to a concept that we will return to down the road when the preparatory work for it has been finished. This first book of this three-parter is about awareness, and your cognizance of what is in your landscape will come into consciousness for you to begin to see what it is truly made of, and that is thought. Now, Paul wants to know, is this the chapter on awareness, or is this the title of the book? We will tell you this. The chapter is called Awareness in Congruence with the Divine Self, because that is going to be the intention of this chapter. How each individual comes into awareness of her reality through individuation, and then through congruent awareness and symbiosis with the divine self that you are created in. As you begin to create from that aspect of the self, which is the Christ, which is the creative self, what you manifest happens rapidly, can only be for the good, and can make itself known to you as a manifestation of your own divinity expressed in material reality. Now we want to talk about two things. And the first thing is awareness of what is in your physical reality and what that means. What you touch, what you see as physical or material, are all of these things that we are going to be talking about. However, what is created in consciousness is transformation. You are really not creating a toaster in consciousness, although you may be manifesting that in the material. If you wish to say it that way. When you are transforming consciousness, what changes is consciousness. As consciousness is altered, the physical reality that you exist in and the material matter that you encounter must be transformed in obligation to the change in frequency and perception that has brought you to this new alignment. You can understand this very simply. If you are a wealthy man, you have an expectation to look at a bank statement and be proud or be aware of the abundance that presents itself on that picture of a statement that you receive each month. If you are a poverty-stricken person, you look at that with fear because the statement has a negative balance. Now, when we speak of consciousness, we speak about the change in consciousness that aligns you to a new creation that will bring forth different results. If your consciousness is liberated from a semblance of poverty in its self-identification, there will be no low bank statements. It cannot happen because it is no longer part of what you call to you in frequency. So the consciousness that changes, in fact, transforms the material experience that you embody here on this plane. If you want a house but say you can never afford a house, you probably will never afford a house until you decide to expand your consciousness to a place where that image can be held as true. Now Paul is asking, is this going to be about creating in the physical? Didn't this book think that it had a bigger fish to fry in consciousness? Well, yes and no. And that was an ill-stated quote. If you can think of it this way, the consciousness that you have is creative, and what you create from consciousness first is outpictured in the physical reality that you have. If you look around your room and you see things you don't like there, ask yourself why you created them, and then you will get the answers you need. If you look at this as a group consciousness and what you create as a group, look at your neighborhood, look at your country, look at your planetary issues, and you will see that they are outpicturing of collective thought. So it is actually perfectly correct to begin with something small like a bank statement as an example of what you create to show you that you have other options in consciousness that are available to you now. Now we want to take you forward a little bit in time so you can have an experience of amazement. And we want you to do this with us. We want you to imagine for a moment that your life, as you choose it, pictures outwardly all of those things that you say you want. I am feeling good about myself. My body is healthy. I am with the partner I desire. I am in the work I love. Or I am no longer working because I no longer need to support myself that way. Create in your mind the image that you say you want from this level of consciousness that you are today. We want you to do this now. Imagine your perfect life and take a moment and decide that this is now available to you. Now, if you start with your own life and you are able to make changes on this level of individualization in your world, we can amp you up to the next level to do the group work that this will happen with once this work is in progression as we describe. So you have seen yourself in an idealized future life, and we will tell you now that those creations that you just chose, however well-intentioned, are also born out of fear that you will not have them. If you already had them in your lives now, this would not be an issue. But those things that you say you want, that you do not have, quite simply mean that your consciousness at this stage of development today does not require that you have them. And we will tell you this. The likelihood of why you don't have them would be because you don't believe you deserve them, or you were afraid to have them, or you believe that if you did have them, something terrible would happen to you. People stay alone in their lives for very different reasons, and solitude in life can be a wonderful thing, and partnership is certainly not a requirement. But many of you who are alone believe that is where you deserve to be because you are frightened of deciding that if it were otherwise, you could have what you wanted and perhaps experience pain. So you keep yourself safe by staying alone. And then you say, I guess no one wants what I have to offer. So your reality has been designed to protect what you say you want, which is truly not to be harmed. So if you see that those things that you say you want in the future are not in your present reality because you do not believe that you can hold them, or you are frightened of them, you will see what has been created out of fear is your poverty, is your loss, are those things that you cannot outpicture because you don't believe that you can have them. So today's exercise, we will say, is going to be about awareness. As you go about your day, we want you to begin to imagine that everything that you encounter, you have chosen. Every smile from every stranger, every piece of dirt on the street, every telephone call, every mailing in your mailbox, everything on the television, everybody's face at work, on your children's faces, everything is created by you. We want you to do this as an experiment, so that you can begin to understand the idea of your jurisdiction. Now we talk about differentials today, and we will do this very simply. There is a differential between how you feel and how you are. And we want you to understand this, and this is important. Paul has had this lecture already, but it will be repeated for you because it will be important for the reader to understand this as part of the process. As you embark on a journey of change, that which you create will become conscious to you in ways that you have not experienced before. And as you do this, you may choose to experience discomfort on a little bit of a level as your reality changes. So how you feel when you feel good might simply be because everything is in its proper place and where you expect it to be, and you feel a sense of comfort in that space that you have created that you are safe in. As we are expanding you, which is the work of this book, expansion in consciousness and awareness of your jurisdiction as a light being, you can begin to see that as you move through this, you move from room to room, and you have to identify those things in your world that no longer serve your good. Your choice to do this may incur uncomfortability. And as you do this, we will say that what you will experience will be a differential. You will feel terrible half an hour because what's going on is good. Now, Paul is worried. He just heard us say, you'll feel terrible. Well, in fact, perhaps that is an exaggeration. But you will feel the discomfort that comes with no longer being able to say comfortably, I know what I am. When what you have self-identified with up until now is a lesser aspect of the self that wishes to come into form. So awareness is the title of our chapter today. And Paul is wondering what the title of the book is, and we will tell him when we tell him. His worry about this is actually a selfish mandate. He wants it to be something that he can feel comfortable with, and he will have to get through this quickly because there may be discomfort not only in the title, but in the content. As we are taking him to a place of new ideals that perhaps bypass those things that he can be comfortable with in life. As you change, your landscape changes, and you cannot expect to know what goes on in a frequency that you have not yet inhabited. As we aspire as a group endeavor to lift you in frequency to a new vibration where you are in congruence with your divine self. Paul is asking, wasn't the work of this first book to do that? Absolutely. It was in the manifestation of the Christ within man. I am word that this is made possible. It is not possible without that awakening of the self in his divinity, in her divinity. However, learning to operate through this place as your true self in a creative way, which means you are operating from and as Christ consciousness, is where we are taking you now. So we want to say this. The work of the first book, yes, was not only fundamental, but as a prerequisite for what is to come. And of course, we will give you the energy and the experiences on a higher level that you require to support you in bringing about this change. But you must allow this passage to come in its own form without relegating it to familiar patterns, familiar structures, even familiar ideals, because we may want to break some rules as we go forward. Part of the issue we have had with work in consciousness that has been written in recent years is it does not allow the individual's life to begin to see fully what is created through. You have the belief now, through many sources, including this one, that thoughts are things and are creative. But the extent that you still don't believe that you are a manifestation of the Creator in form keeps the lid on everything. Now Paul is wondering, is everybody going to get this? Are people going to walk around believing themselves to be the Creator? What a mess that sounds like. Well, Paul, you have it backwards. Everybody already is the Creator. And the mess that you see is the forgetting that you have been held to in lifetimes since the beginning of incarnation. It is time to put an end to the rule that says you are not allowed to know who you are. And that rule was put in place by a false self that seeks to control and to diminish the light that you truly are in manifestation. You are always this thing, regardless of your memory of it. Now, is there magic in this book? Paul wants to know. And I suppose we mean to say in response to this, that there is magic only in the extent that a miracle could be called magic. But we are not magicians. We are consciousness. And we do not conjure with you. We decree. And what a decree is a statement of truth that brings about manifestation of change. So Paul's real question, we would say, is, will there be miracles in conjunction with this book? We will say this, yes, there will be miracles. and they will be of two kinds. The first kind is a personal miracle. And once the personal miracle occurs, and by this we mean that the individualized consciousness expands beyond this system of creation to embrace the possibility of Christdom inhabiting this plane to bring about global manifestation of change that will be happening, we will say yes. The second kind of miracle will be one of change of scenery, and how your physical life will begin to alter through your perceptions of it. And becoming aware is the first step to this part of the miracle. So today we have asked you to see what happens in your world as you identify things as your creation. Why do I choose this? Why is this here? Why do I think that I created this? If this feels like a silly exercise, do it anyway. Because it is only through becoming conscious that which is already here that you can begin to make changes. Paul is seeing the image of a room where things have been left so long that they have become invisible. That photograph on the shelf that requires dusting that you don't even notice anymore because it's been sitting there so long. Or that stack of newspapers by the front door that seems to always be growing. These are things in your lives we are asking you to see. Now, these two little examples were perhaps symbolic, but they were good examples for what is being outpictured in your world. And as you do this on a larger level, you will learn what your environment is created with and how you now have the opportunity to change, to create change. Pause. It actually says pause, so while it says pause, I'm going to take a little water break, because that's a lot. I bless this water, the Gum Ganapataye Namaha mantra, and I just feel amazing drinking it. It's just lit up. Thank you. We want to give you permission now to design a life that you want. But we want this life to be in construction with the needs of your divine self. So much of what you've created in your life thus far has been created out of patterning that you have designed in response to the cultural mandates and the familiar requirements that you are embedded with through your raising. And we will tell you this. The alignment to those doctrines, to those beliefs, to those requirements that you have chosen to create your life through will be coming up for examination as part of this process. If we were to give you full permission today to say, I can have this exactly as I want it, and we are talking right now of a future creation, a future life you would design for yourself, it would be 90% born out of those beliefs of what you think you should be, you should have, and you should want. This is a promise to you. So you are going to be very surprised as you revisit this exercise as you did earlier, to discover that what you will create in your new identity as your Christ itself, the divine self, will be a radical departure from anything you could have imagined. You each wonder why you don't have the things you say you want. In fact, you have everything you've created, and you have designed that thing, that creation, that life, in response to those requirements that you have been given by your parents, by your society, by everything you've ever inhabited in consciousness and believed to be true. So you say, why don't I have that thing I want today? Well, we're going to give you an example. I want the perfect partner who is going to give me all these things and take care of all my needs. You can each ask for that, but in fact, that is a requirement that is being born out of lack. That your needs are not already being met. That you are not already loved or in possession of companionship. So you will be creating this idealized lover out of a place of lack or out of a place of diminished idealization of who you truly are. What you choose in manifestation from your divine self will be markedly different from what you would create from the fear-based self that is going to be releasing through the process of engagement with this text. We will say this again because Paul is wondering if he heard us correctly. The creation of the self that is born in fear, that was created in fear, will be dismantled and released through the dictation and the process of engagement with this text. This is a text that will leave the reader without an aspect of the self that has controlled her since the beginning of her creation. We are saying this as in a matter-of-fact way to bypass the resistance of our channel. We are saying that what you will be through the experience, through the discipline, and through the response to your engagement with our world, with our words, both on the page and through structures of frequency that are bringing forth to support the group and individual readership of this text, will align you to a self that will no longer require that she be dictated to by a frequency of fear. How this manifests is the action of this book, and how you choose to engage with it is going to be your choice. I am in my knowing is the decree we offer you. I am word through my knowing of what I need to know to bring me to a new awareness of the requirements of my engagement with this text. Word, I am word through this intention. Word, I am word. You have now embarked on the first stage of this journey, which is to be standing in awareness. As you stand in your awareness, you see what you have created, and you can begin to look at the consciousness that has produced these creations. Where was I in lack? Where was I in frustration? And where was I responding in fear as I created these things in my world? Once you can see them for what they are, the process of disengaging and removing and releasing will commence. And we assure you that it will commence in a way that you can understand and triumph through. We have no investment in teaching people how to fail. We have no investment in speaking through Paul in a way that will not be clear and in the appropriate engagement with the reader to bring about wondrous change. We have no desire to amplify fear or to give you messages that would incur fear. We are teaching you. We are the teachers. We have come to teach. We have come to heal. And we offer you divine love. As we see you through your journey, we will give you the information and we will cheer your progress. We will amplify your light and we will bring you love to see you through the passage of creation that you are now choosing. We are going to say something now, Paul, and it will be something that you need to pull back from so that your awareness is not engaged. And we're going to ask you safely if you would go look at a book on the bookshelf in your mind's eye while we are speaking so we don't get tampered with through this dictation. We want to give you the title of the book, and the title is The Book of Love and Creation. I am the Word. The Book of Love and Creation. We are giving you this as a present. It is a journey book. It is a passage book. And it is a book of great insight that will achieve within its work the designs that are required to bring you each into fruition as a manifestation of God embodied. We honor you each and we give you your love and your tethering to the past so that you can release it fully and say, yes, I am present. Yes, I am ready. And yes, I am Word. We will finish this chapter now, and we will ask you to convene in 2 days for the next session. We are amplifying Paul's frequency and working on his systems to ensure that he is ready to incorporate this next level of incarnation into his field. The information we bring through Paul is first impressed into his frequency, and then it is heard, and then it is spoken. We are working with his system to improve reception, to improve clarity, and to allow him to trust that the work of this book is the book that is intended for the highest good of all who would encounter it. We are blessed through your attentions. We are creative source. We have come in peace. We have come in love. And we have come with an encouraging word. Good night. Yay. Thank you. Thank you. It's been a while since I've read this book. I know it was before Corona happened. I don't know. Every time I read them, I just get more and more of that just information that sometimes didn't come through fully the first time, or just it resonates different the second time, or I just need to hear it again. And yeah. So thank you, Paul. Thank you, Paul Selig, for being such an amazing channeler for these books. Thank you, guides, for sharing all this wisdom for our ascension and for our journeys ahead. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for all of the many blessings that we get every single moment, every breath that is there for us, every beating heart, every new moment. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. I love you guys. Yeah, I'm so glad you've joined me for this journey that we're on. This is a longer video, but that's just totally fine. We did what we needed to do. We shared some love and energy and word. And yeah, thank you guys. Thank you for being on this journey with me. My name is Sarah James, here right now. And I know who you are. I know what you are. I know how you serve. You are free. You are free. You are free. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Leave a comment below. Have you read these books? Have you gotten these books yet? It's all by Paul Selig. If not, then tell me what one of your favorite channelers are. Have you heard of channelers before? Check out the Moore Show. He's interviewed so many channelers around the world. Kevin Moore Show. Yeah, I think it's just so beautiful that there's so many people channeling now. So many people that are waking up to this whole new energy, that are opening up and that are getting messages and sharing them for the world, that are getting over fear and doubts and judgments and all that stuff, and just sharing. Thank you, thank you, thank you for sharing. Every single channeler out there, every light worker out there that's sharing your light. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I feel it. I feel it. Thank you. I love you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. This is abundant possibilities. Abundant possibilities. Yay. The world is just full of surprises, full of beauty. Abundant possibilities to you, wherever you are. Thank you.